Okay, Cecil, this is Jordine. He's going to give you a quick walkthrough on the trailer. Sorry if we miss anything, but I can also send you an e-link, okay? So here we go. This is Jordine.
Good to meet you, Cecil. This here is going to be your switches for your jacks. This moves the jack up, and this moves the jack down, so in turn moves your trailer up and down. This one over here is just for a light that's not there anymore, so this one is useless for now. Back here you got your 20-pound tank, Cecil. This is going to be your pressure regulator here. This little black valve back, this little black switch here, whatever way this switch is pointing is the tank you're going to start using first. When you're done with that, Cecil, you come over here and flip this over like that, and then you open up this tank. At this time you have a couple of options. You can run on the full tank and take the empty one off and run it down to the gas station, wherever you need to go to get it filled, or you can run both tanks down, take them both off, and both get them filled. As how long the tanks are going to last, Cecil, it all depends on what you use and for how long and what time of season it is. This season, hardcore use, you might get 2 or 3 days out of this tank. So again, everything runs on propane. The fridge can run on propane. The furnace runs on propane. So like I said, it all depends on how you use it and what you use. If you know, a lot of that stuff will run off 110 as well. Okay. This back here, we've installed a brand new 24 volt or 24 series, battery for you. So as long as you're plugged into shore power, it's going to keep the battery fully charged at all times. So you can go inside, turn the lights on, you know, run whatever you want. You're good to go. Power outage situation, you probably have maybe 2 days worth of power here. Using your furnace really sparingly, because a lot of people think their furnace runs off of 110. It does not. It runs off the 12 volt battery. So the more you run your furnace will chew through this battery in probably an hour and a half if you let it run continuously. So you need, if you're in a power failure situation and you can't plug into power and you can't plug into a generator, you need to very, 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 very sparingly use your furnace. Because if you leave it running, you're going to be dead in the water, and once your battery is dead, your whole 12 volt system in your trailer is nil and void until you charge up the battery or plug it into a generator or shore power. Okay? So over here, this is going to be your hot water tank. Okay, this is a 6-gallon hot water tank. You can probably end up getting maybe about a 10 or maybe 15 minute shower out of it at best. The hotter you like your showers, the less time you're going to have to shower. So if you're a mild or a colder shower, the water will last a little bit longer. This here is your drain plug right here, this guy right here. This is called an anoid rod right here. So basically what that does is a sacrificial piece for the electrolysis that happens inside the tank. You're only going to take this out when you want to drain your fresh water tank. So as you can see, it's drained now. So when you get it there, you're going to put that in. It's a 15/16 socket. And then you're going to hook the water up to the back over there, where when we get there, I'll show you what it is. Other than that, Cecil, inside this is dual power. It runs off of 110 and it runs off of propane. Rebound on propane is going to be about 20 minutes. Rebound on 110 is going to be about 30. So other than that, it's just like a hot water tank at home. We don't pay attention to it until everything goes to hell in a handbasket. Okay? Inside the unit is where you're going to select what you want to use it on, what power source. All you have to do is push a button, whether you want to run it on 110 or run it on propane, and then you just walk away. And then as you take hot water out, it's going to put cold water back in turn to be heated up. Okay? This over here is your furnace exhaust. So there's not a lot you got to know about it here. It's a sealed unit. There's no way you can access it. Again, this is going to be the exhaust, so it's going to be hot. This is the air intake. So again, it's controlled by a thermostat inside. It's just like a household thermostat. You just set it at whatever temperature you want, and it cycles on and off until you tell it different. Okay? This over here, way down over here, these two PEX pipes here, those are low point drains. Now the purpose of those is for winterizing. So when you winterize, you're gonna dump your hot water tank like it is now. Then you're gonna come over here and take the caps off of each one of these lines. You can see there's a red and there's a blue. The red drains all the hot lines in the trailer. The blue drains all the cold lines in the trailer. So if you're gonna be living in this Cecil, this is something you're not really gonna pay attention to and focus on until you wanna put this away for the winter and you wanna put antifreeze in the lines instead of the water.
You talk about the TJ?
These are your stabilizer jacks. So basically what you're gonna do, there's a crank inside. After you guys level the trailer side to side and front to back, you're gonna throw these down, and then once they hit the ground, give them 2 or 3 good turns. Tighten them up quite a bit. And then once those are down, you're gonna tighten up these little, whatever you wanna call them there, those little handles.
Flywheels.
Don't tighten them up with a wrench, just put them hand tight. And basically the purpose of those is it stops the trailer from rocking back and forth to a point. It's not going to take all the rocking out,
just extra
but it'll take a little bit out.
Mm-hmm.
Back over here is going to be where everything comes out of the trailer. So you got 3 tanks on here. You got 2 gray tanks and you got 1 black tank. The sink in the kitchen has its own tank, and the sink and the shower in the bathroom have their own tank as well. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this is gonna go to the washroom and this is gonna go to the sink in the kitchen. So a couple ways you can do this. Some people leave them closed, some people leave them open. The downside of leaving them open is all your food particles and all your hair particles are gonna stay on the bottom of the tank. The good side about leaving them open is you don't have to come out here once every day and dump the tanks. If you decide to leave them open, once a week you got to come out here and close these valves, fill your tanks up and get all that stuff off the bottom of the tank, and then drain them. Then at that point you can decide whether you want to close them or if you want to leave them open. This big black valve here, you can tell the difference. That's a 3-inch valve. This is a 4-inch valve. 4-inch valve will always be strictly your toilet tank valve. You need to leave that closed. You need to put water in there, and you need to put chemical in there at all times. If it's just you staying in the trailer, this is going to be a 40-gallon tank, the black one. So chances are of you filling up that tank with number 1 and 2 is going to be virtually impossible. Do not leave it in here for more than a week at a time. Every week, whether it's be a Sunday or a Monday or a Tuesday, whatever day you decide, come out here, pull this valve up like this, make sure your hose is on here, pull the valve up and drain all your stuff out of here. It's going to take probably about 15 or 20 minutes, and then when you're done, you're going to close the valve. You're going to go inside, you're going to step on your foot pedal of your toilet, and you're going to put some water on the bottom of the tank, throw some chemical in there as well. That way when you do the number 2 falls onto the water and doesn't fall onto a dry tank and stick to the bottom of the tank. So like I said, this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be about 25 gallons. That'll be about 25, and then your black's going to be about 40. So like I said, you know, whatever way, there is no wrong way of using your gray valves. You just need to decide which way works better for you. Okay? These over here are going to be fridge vents. That one up there is just strictly to vent the fridge. This one down here is where the technicians are going to go if there's ever a problem with your fridge. Okay? It's a dual power fridge. So this side of it here is the propane side. This side of it here is the 110 side. So like I said, it all depends if you're hooking up to a standard household extension cord, you need to run this on gas because you will blow the breaker in the house. If you're running into a 30 amp cord, then you can run all this stuff on electric. You could run your fridge on electric, you could run your hot water tank on electric. But like I said, if you're hooking up to an extension cord, you need to run that on gas, and you need to run this on gas. Because if you don't, you will continuously blow the breaker to where you're hooked up at. Okay? Other than that, Cecil, if you don't need to be in here, don't be in here poking around. Because there's a lot of sensitive electronics in here that just don't need a human attention until there's a problem with the fridge. Okay? That over there is going to be the hood range vent for your hood range above your stove. So basically all you do is you just turn it on, and the force of the fan opens it up, and then when you shut the fan off, it closes by itself. So you really don't have to pay attention to that. It just works when you turn the fan on. This over here is where you're going to hook up your cable and your satellite. So if you have cable, it's going to go where it says cable. It's going to go on the left side. If you have a satellite system, it's going to go on the right side. So basically, once you hook up the cable and then you get your TV hooked up in there, the cable will, whatever channels you put into here, will show up on your TV inside. Okay? This over here, as you can see, it says a black tank flush. Now what that is that's a rinsing mechanism hooked up to your black tank over there. So basically what it is there's a rinsing mechanism that rinses down the walls of your tank and gets everything out when you dump your tank. So a lot of people, they'll dump their tank, they'll bring the hose over here and they'll hook this up, and then they'll turn the water on, and then the water will start rinsing down the walls of your number 1 and number 2 tank. You got to remember, Cecil, when you use this feature, you have to make sure that black valve is open, because if you don't, it will fill up and it will overflow inside the trailer, and it's going to be a mess. So like I said, pay very close attention when you use this feature. Do not get sidetracked and start doing something else, because like I said, you will overflow your trailer and it's going to be a mess. This over here is a fresh water tank. So this is going to be probably approximately about 45 gallons of fresh water. You're only going to use this if you're not able to hook up to this guy here. This one over here is your city water connection. So this is where you're going to run your water hose from, either the house or wherever you guys are getting your water from. If you have a garden hose or whatever, a drinking water hose, you're going to hook it in there. And then instead of turning the hose, you're going to turn this. And the reason for that is so your hose doesn't get squirrely when you're hooking this up. You're only going to use this when you're dry camping and you don't have a hose hooked up to this, or if you got to do maintenance on your water line, or if you're on a well system and you guys got to do maintenance on your well, then you're going to fill this up here.
Potable water.
Yeah, you're going to take this hose out here and stick it in here, turn the hose on, and then fill this tank. And you'll know when it's full because the water's going to start coming out. And then when that happens, you just pull the hose out, take this cap, put it on, and then that'll give you probably about 50 gallons of fresh water. Try to stay away from the showers and stuff when you have to use this, because a person doesn't realize how much water we use until we're restricted to a 50-gallon tank. When you got the water hooked up to this, you can use all the water you want, because it's just, the water's just running in there through the hose. Okay? Now this down here, freshwater drain. So basically what that is this guy right here, this little silver PEX. Now what that is let's say, Cecil, that you did fill up your freshwater tank here and you never ended up using the water in there and you want to get rid of it. All you got to do is come down here, take this valve and turn it. Just like that. turn it sideways, and then the water is going to start dripping out of the tank onto the ground. If it's a full tank, it's going to take probably about half an hour to drain the tank. If it's a half a tank, probably about 15 minutes or so. And then when you're done, all you do is put that back in line, just like that. And then that shuts the valve, and then your tank is ready to be filled whenever you decide you want to use it again. This over here is going to be an outside shower, and it's very, very self-explanatory. And I probably don't have a key for this one. Anyways, we'll come back to that, Cecil, when we go inside and grab the keys. This over here is going to be your power cord, okay? This is a 30 amp power cord, and we're going to give you adapters if you don't have a 30 amp plug where you are. We're going to give you adapters that take you down to a standard 110, down to a standard household plug-in or an extension cord plug-in. But if you can see on here, one of these is different. Two are straight, and one of them has a little curve in there. So there is absolutely no way that you could hook this up wrong. You see, there's that one. These are straight, and then you got the little curvy one here. You line that one up with this one right here. So you're gonna take this, put it in like so, just like that. When you put it in, you're gonna turn it to lock it in, and then you're gonna take this and you're gonna screw it on just like that. It does two things. It makes a watertight seal, and then if somebody comes around your trailer and trips over your cord, it doesn't pull the cord out. So you end up with dead batteries in a day or two because you didn't know that your cord was unplugged. Okay? So like I said, we're going to give you everything you need to get you down to a standard household outlet. So you got to keep in mind, when you're running on a standard household outlet, you're not going to have any big ticket items in here. You're not going to have the AC. You're not going to have the microwave. You're not going to have stuff like that because they take a lot of power, and you need to be hooked up to a 30 amp service if you want to use those items. Other than that, you're basically just going to get lights and charging of the battery if you choose to hook up to a household outlet. Okay? And then we'll come back to this when we get the keys, Cecil. Other than that, Cecil, back here, there's not a lot you got to know back here. The seals and the seams of the unit, the boys have went over the unit. They've checked it all out. They went from front to back. They've checked the seals. Everything is good. If it needed to be redone, it was redone. If it needed to be replaced, it was replaced. But as far as that concerned, you're good to go there. I would recommend probably every 3 months, maybe every 2 months. If you can't get up on there, get somebody else on there. Walk around on the roof, have a look at all the seals around the vents, have a look at all the seals around the edges, and make sure they're still pliable and make sure they're still doing what they're doing. Probably, I would go no more than 2 years with this. You got to get it resealed every 2 years, the whole thing, because if you don't, you're going to run into water problems, and then once that happens, it's going to be a big mess. Okay? I guess this over here, Cecil, this is an outside plug. Okay? So like I said, some of these trailers, when you hook up to a standard household outlet, some of these trailers, the plugs will not work in there. So it all depends how this one is wired. Some of them, the plugs do work. Some of them, the plugs don't work. So if you're plugged into a 30 amp service, you don't have to worry about that. All these plugs are going to be live inside and out. So you can come in here and plug whatever you want in here, and you know, in the summertime, enjoy some music or whatever you want to plug in there. Okay, so